Hello and welcome to the Dinosaw for week 25, another 7 curious, interesting things I saw last week. And as ever, if you'd like any consultancy, AI beginners guides or workshops, that sort of thing, find me on LinkedIn. It is what I do. First one is Dante Leoncini, who is putting the N95 through its pace. Yes, this is a 16-year-old Nokia device. I have one, loved it back in the day, still have it obviously. Now, why is he doing this? He's showing you that you can actually put Blender on it, you can run Quake on it, you can put a keyboard on it, you can put a monitor on it, you can run Windows on it, you can run the Secret of Monkey Island game. All of these really good things are processor intensive. This device 16 years ago had enough kit in it to run all these things, and that's his point. So with lots of people around the world who don't get access to computers and the cost of mobile phones going up and up and up, increasing that gap between people who have access to them, basically showing you that the computers back in the day could run this, and they're all in mobile phones. We have them available. So it's a software issue that it becomes obsolete, not a hardware issue. So I think that's a really important quest, and well done Dante for carrying on that quest as well and bringing it to everybody's light. I like that, it's very good. X-ray chips in phones. So these are two teams from Texas and from Seoul universities, and they've been on a quest for a long time to figure this out, and they're getting to some good places. So this is putting X-ray chips into a small enough package that it can eventually fit into a phone. So the chip you can see at the bottom actually is created by a lot of single pixel arrays. Each one of those pixels can actually work at 275 gigahertz in the millimeter range, and therefore can be essentially like a safe X-ray. What can it do? So if you have enough of these pixels in an array, you can start to create images. As you can see here, if you have a Hershey's bar and in one of the squares of the Hershey's bar you put a razor blade, it can detect that. It can clearly show you that bottom left or bottom right one actually has a razor blade in it, or at least has something in it. And Reese's Puffs, if you put a screw in there, you can actually see that as well. It's not a brilliant image, but there is a screw in there as well. So interesting for personal safety, but also, you know, maybe going through airports and that sort of thing. But if you can have an X-ray thing in your phone, that would be quite cool. Likewise, if you're somebody who wants to rob somebody and you want to go up and see what's in their bag, you can probably do that as well. It only works from about an inch at the moment, but they're hoping it will probably be 10 times that, so sort of 20 centimeters is what they're aiming for. But the big breakthrough here is really the signal gets pinged out and then there's a lot of noise comes back, and they've now been able to filter that sort of noise to signal ratio to get a decent image out of it. So good work there. That's really interesting. Imagine having X-ray specs finally. This is SoftBank, a Japanese big bank, and they are fed up with people essentially harassing their people on the telephone calls. So they have deployed what they've called a cancelling device for angry callers. So it works in two ways. First of all, it listens to the caller. It detects when it's going to be an angry call or when they're saying angry words. And the second part of it is it then generates their voice, but in a lower tone, so that basically it takes out the anger. And that's protecting the people who are actually working on the helplines from these sort of angry callers, which takes a toll on them after a while. So nobody should come to work and expect to get harassed on the phone, even if it's your job to be on the phone. So that's very interesting. Finally, a relatively sensible use of AI. There you go, SoftBank in Japan. Don't know anything more about that, but other than 47% of industry workers have experienced harassment in the last 2 years, which is shocking. This is a new saddle. So we've had a few new saddles this year, which is very exciting. This is the VabsRider. I think it's out of Australia. However, this is by Whistle Designs Group. And as you can see, it rotates your sitting bones, or it rotates with your sitting bones to put the weight onto your femurs, your legs instead of it. There you go, nice thing. This is your sitting bones, and that's what a normal saddle feels like. So I love their phrase, which is the best feeling is no feeling at all. Now, obviously, if you've had like a sports saddle for a while, you know what no feeling is like, but they're talking about a different type here. So that's really good. I like that one. Looks a bit strange, but available soon, I guess. There you go, nicely done. Alexa. So sorry if you're listening to us loud, it's probably kicked off a piece of kit in the background. However, it's probably going to be a terrible interaction because Alexa kind of is. It sucks, let's face it. And it sucked for quite a long time. However, Amazon need to kind of buck up their ideas, and they have a plan. So they're going to two-tier, it sounds like. This is not confirmed, by the way, but this is all on the rumor mill and by people who are working there. There's going to be a two-tier Alexa. First one is classic Alexa, which is pretty much what you've got at the moment. And then there will be a thing called remarkable Alexa. Now it might change its name, obviously, and I've just made up this logo, by the way. That's not really a thing. However, remarkable Alexa will use AI within Alexa itself. So they want you to pay between $5 and $10 a month for this new remarkable Alexa. The actual what you'll get for that is a little bit sketchy at the moment, but they're saying, you know, it will learn what you need. It will obviously join things together and eventually it'll understand people. Now, quite frankly, we've been told it's been doing this for years, and it just hasn't. So it's really, I think, Alexa or Amazon at least trying to play catch up with everybody else. But would you pay $5 to $10 a month, minimum 5, maximum possibly 10, for Alexa? You know, who knows? New York, apparently it's very difficult to get a restaurant in New York because there are lots of bots who answer as soon as there is a reservation available, the bots jump in there and take the reservation. And then there are other services that then kind of want you to pay more. So it's a little bit like ticket scalping for concerts, but they do it for restaurants. Now, New York legislators are fed up with this, and they've now come up with a rule. If you are caught doing this, you will get £1,000 of fine or $1,000 fine per violation. So now there's a really interesting stat behind this. Some of the restaurants saying, look, you know, we have maybe 400 bookings a day, of which 100 of them are cancelled because nobody buys the ones that are inflated prices that the bots have bought. So it's really actually taking a bit of a a chunk out of their earnings. And also some of the people doing this saying they're earning like $100,000 a year just scalping these reservations. So and they really said, look, if there's a law, then we'll probably just stop doing it. I'm only really doing it for kind of a side hustle. But there you go. So there's a law. I really love how kind of computers and society kind of battle out to get to some point, and then legislators finally go, enough is enough. And we'll probably see the same happening to AI quite soon. And finally, Wells Fargo, another bank, we've got 2 banks this week, used basically what they call bossware to find some of their employees who were using these devices, which are mouse jigglers, possibly software, possibly hardware, to look like that they were busy whilst they were working from home. And as you can see here, this is just one I found on Amazon. It is a mechanical mouse jigglers, but you can buy a software one as well. And it basically just moves your mouse around a little bit like a random human being. And if you're a boss, you're a company, you want to basically put surveillance software on people's kind of work machines, it's pretty hard to detect these because it just looks like, the mouse is actually moving. So you can go out for a walk and it looks like you're doing some work. Lots of these kind of surveillance bits of technology just want to check that you're still typing, you're still moving your mouse. However, a bunch of people at Wells Fargo got caught doing this, and therefore they got the sack. So there's this great thing called performance theatre, which is you have to try and outwit, there's a bit of a war going on, you have to try and outwit your boss that you're looking like you're doing some work. So there's performance theatre. But there were some really interesting stats behind this as well. They're saying that actually if you are the sorts of employee who uses this sort of kit, it's usually in response to your boss putting some surveillance software on there, in which case you will also then do the minimum you can possibly do. So if you are a boss and you are surveilling your staff, then they're probably going to be less work, doing less work because of that anyway. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, really. There you go. Mouse jigglers, didn't know they existed. You can get them on Amazon, although I'm not actually saying that's a good thing to do. Hopefully that was interesting. Hopefully it was. And hopefully you're going to share it with somebody amazing, and I will see you next week.